Hey, what's up and welcome to Q&A, the show where I take your questions from YouTube and Twitter and answer them here in video format. A lot of questions to get into on this Friday morning, so I'm just going to jump into it. We got a question from QnA who says, who do you think we should go after to improve the defensive tackle room? Malik McDowell most likely not coming back. Jackson being pretty mid. Do we try to draft somebody in the first or second round? Maybe somebody like a Jordan Davis, or do we try to find someone in free agency? Always appreciate the content, Q. The draft is pretty bare at defensive tackle, and as much as I like Jordan Davis, he only played like 25% of his snaps at Georgia. It's going to be hard to sell that in the first or second round. So we're probably looking at free agency. It's not a great pool for free agency. I'm just, unless somebody, one of the guys that they drafted previously kind of emerges, we're going to have a hole at defensive tackle. But hopefully somebody does emerge. You know, defensive tackle is one of those weird positions to where you can just find somebody. Like, it's like linebacker where, like, yeah, he might not be a high draft pick or really coveted, but he can start and plug in and play well, right? Like, it's just one of those positions to where it's a little easier to find. It hasn't been easy for the last 2 years to find answers for because we have not had great success there as the Cleveland Browns, but we'll see. It is something that does need to be answered, though. This next question comes from David, who says, do you think the Hue Jackson allegations will hurt Andrew Berry being the GM and hurt the locker room environment? Nah, I don't think this is going to really do anything for anybody. One, Andrew Berry, who was around during that time, he was a president of pro player personnel. He's not going to be touched by any of this. Sachi Brown, he's already in the NBA, with the Wizards. And, Hue Jackson's coaching at Grambling State there. So nobody currently involved in this situation that was like deeply involved, the parties that were like accused of being involved, are really with the team anymore. I know Andrew Berry was there. He's not really been accused of anything, right? Like, he's not the guy who came up with the plan. I guess you can point to Paul DePodesta, but even then, it would be hard for the league to do anything, even if they did say or find the Browns guilty of intentionally tanking, because there is no rule against it, right? Like, against what the Browns did, which is, they used their salary floor. They did not break any rules there. They skirted the rules to tank, but they did follow the rules to do that. So I don't see anything coming. Anything that would happen as a result of Hue Jackson accusing teams of tanking, or the Brian Flores thing, as far as the tanking allegations go. There are other allegations in that Brian Flores thing, but the tanking allegations go would be new legislation from the league. It wouldn't be any retroactive punishments because, again, anything that was done in that time period was done within the parameters of the rules and cleared by the NFL and its unions rules and all that. So, yeah, this would be something that would limit teams going forward to how drastically. Like, I would expect they're probably going to raise the salary floor a little bit once the salary cap comes up in a year or two. But I don't think it's going to be anything that's going to like retroactively hurt the Browns or anything like that. We have nothing to worry about there. The next question comes from TWG Anime Report, who says, will you be making Cavs and wrestling channel? If so, should we expect as content, and what will I produce? Yes. I am planning on putting out a Cavs channel and a wrestling channel. The Cavs channel, I am hoping to have something up by the end of this weekend. And the wrestling channel, I'm planning on having something up before the end of the month. The links will both be in the description down below if you want to check those channels out. The basketball channel will be Quincy's Cavs burner, and the wrestling channel will be Quincy's Pro Wrestling burner. They're separate channels because of how YouTube works. I can't just put everything on this channel because it would hurt the algorithm and all that stuff with how this channel works. So they're going to have to be separate channels. If you want to do me a huge favor, though, and you're interested in either of those channels, please subscribe now, because that will make my life a lot easier once I do start uploading. Again, the basketball one, I'm trying to get those videos up hopefully before the end of the weekend. And the wrestling one will be before the end of February. I will start uploading on that channel. The next question comes from Predator Magnus, who says, do you think the Browns should draft O-line depth in the later rounds? Absolutely. I think it is a good practice, personally, in my opinion, to just draft O-line depth every year, right? Because nothing can ruin a season more than bad offensive line play. It's that and quarterback play, right? If you have bad offensive line play and then you have bad quarterback play, and, for various reasons in 2021, the Browns had a little bit of both, right? A little bit of bad quarterback play, a good amount, and a good amount of bad offensive line play, which just led to the horror show, which was that offense. So if I'm the Cleveland Browns, I would spend this offseason figuring out ways to have contingencies so both quarterback play and offensive line play do not dip to the levels that they dipped to in 2021 when you're supposed to have a good offensive line unit. The next question comes from Evan, who says, for the second and third round, do you think it's possible for a linebacker if they fall, or a right tackle? I don't think they'll go right tackle because I think they're pretty set on the draft pick they had last year from Cincinnati. I always blank on his name. For whatever reason. And then linebacker, I don't know if I spend a draft pick on linebacker, to be honest with you, just because I feel pretty good about what the Browns have at linebacker. I think Jacob Phillips is going to fill in quite fine. I think you can get another veteran off the street, or you could just bring back Malcolm Smith. And I think you'll be fine there. I don't see the need to draft a linebacker there, especially when you already have your centerpiece linebacker in JOK. So, I just don't see any need why you would need to draft a linebacker anytime soon. Next question comes from Cool, especially since they drafted so many linebackers recently. Next question comes from Cool J, who says, how would you feel if we drafted a quarterback with our first pick? Honestly, in the first round, look, I would think it's personally a little bit of a reach to draft any of these quarterbacks in the first round. But my thing with quarterbacks is, if you believe, right, it does not matter what I believe, but if Andrew Berry believes that there is a quarterback in this draft that could be a franchise guy, you take him, and you take him wherever you can take him. You don't get cute with it, right? If that's what they're saying, right? If they draft the quarterback in the first round, they're telling you that they think, let's say, Malik Willis or Kenny Pickett is going to be a franchise level quarterback. And if that's what your evaluation is telling you, reach. I have no problem reaching if that's the dude that you believe in. Now, it's something that can get you fired, right? You make the wrong pick, you can get fired. And a lot of guys do get fired because they went on a limb for the wrong quarterback. But you got to do it, right? If you think this dude's a franchise quarterback, take him wherever you want to. Take him. Don't get cute. Take him. And that's kind of how I am. Look, if I would never, ever fret a team for taking a guy that they felt like was a true franchise quarterback. Now, if they draft this guy and they're telling us, or they think internally that he's like a transition guy and they took him in the first round, then I have a huge problem with that, right? But if you think he's a franchise guy, reach. I don't care. But you have to have that belief internally. You have to believe in that. You, the coaching staff, everybody who's going to be significant in that quarterback's development over the next few years, have to be sure in that. But if you guys are all sure, yeah, sure, take a quarterback in the first round, right? It's a position that you're always, unless you have one of the best 5 or 6 quarterbacks in the NFL, or at least best 10 quarterbacks in the NFL, you're always looking to improve the position. That just is the reality of quarterbacking in NFL. It's a rough one, but that's just how it works. The next question comes from Tony Hawk's brother, who says, hey, any thoughts on the QBs in this draft? Heard a lot about Malik Willis recently. Yeah, this is going to be, when you've been through so many of these quarterback things with the draft, like it seems like every year is just a replay of every other year. And this year, it's like people are going to fall in love with Malik Willis. I think as this process goes on, he's going to run like a 4.5 40. If he runs that, people will love him. He's going to jump off the charts in shorts, in T-shirts. His issue is his game film, right? That's Malik Willis' biggest issue, and that's a red flag, right? Now, to be fair, other quarterbacks have had their biggest issue be their game film, and they turned out okay. Patrick Mahomes, biggest issue, his game film at Texas Tech. Turned out he was okay. Josh Allen, biggest issue, his game film. Turned out he was okay. Now, I don't have to say this, but it goes without saying there have been plenty of other quarterbacks who have had their biggest issue being their game film, and they've never gotten better, right? Like, it is a gamble. But that is the dude who's going to go highest, right? That's the dude who should probably go highest as well, right? It's the guy that, you're not 100% sure on what the floor is, but you know that the ceiling is high, and Malik Willis makes sense there. For the Browns, it would make a little bit of sense if they wanted to get Malik Willis, just because he has a style of play that you can be a little bit more flexible with, and he can have a longer learning curve with. And what I mean by that is he runs a lot, and I think this offense could take advantage of a quarterback who runs, and give that guy just a low floor to begin with. I think Kenny Pickett is something that they might consider. I would like Kenny Pickett a lot more in the second or third round. I wouldn't be upset at that, because I don't think he's going to be good enough to replace anybody day one. But to be honest with you, none of these quarterbacks excite me in this draft class. Now, look, I'll be the first to tell you, my evaluation of draft quarterbacks has been historically terrible over the last 5 years. I did not think Patrick Mahomes is going to be any good. I violently want the Browns to stay away from Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. I thought those two were going to stink. I thought Kyler Murray was going to be bad. I have not, Justin Herbert is another one I was absolutely wrong about. So don't take my word on what the quarterback situation is at Bond, but people are in agreement with me, right? There's a consensus that this quarterback class isn't that good. I also don't think it's that good, but I'll be honest, I don't even trust my own thought process when it comes to the quarterbacks that are coming out, because I've been wrong so many times on so many different guys. The next question comes from Isaac Webb, who says, if the Browns drafted Kenny Pickett, would you be upset, or do I see him being an upgrade over Baker? I see him being in that same level as Baker. Right now, he might get to that level in a different way than Baker, where it's a little bit more stable. But I would see him as, instead of it being an upgrade over Baker, it would be the Browns trying to continue Baker's rookie deal window with a different quarterback, with a different rookie year window, right? It wouldn't be a significant improvement at quarterback at all, I don't think. I think it could even be a downgrade, because Baker does have arm talent and some physical abilities that Kenny Pickett does not possess. Kenny Pickett's a little bit more mobile and a little bit more athletic than Baker, tiny bit more athletic. Baker has a lot more arm strength than Kenny Pickett, though. And not to say Kenny Pickett's weak-armed. He's a pretty good arm. It's just he has a lot more arm strength and command over the football. Kenny Pickett also, he's got that Teddy Bridgewater thing. He plays with gloves, small hands, might be a factor with him. And small hands and cold weather, that's just never really a good combination for holding on to the football. Jared Goff, I think he had small hands too. He fumbled the football a lot. Same thing with Danny Dimes, right, in New York. He had a ton of fumbles because of the small hands there. So I just don't think Kenny Pickett's a great fit for the Cleveland Browns, to be honest with you. I could see where some people would like it, but the more I see of him, the more I think, nah, this probably ain't going to work out. And that's going to be it for this week's Q&A. Again, guys, thank you so much for asking these questions. Have a good day. Have a great night.